Welcome to CPAC Now, America Uncanceled. We're getting close to the end of the week. That means we're getting closer not only to Thanksgiving, Schlapp, but closer to CPAC. I think we're about 98 days out. So make sure you register, you get your tickets at conservative.org. It's going to be a big one. What do you think, Schlapp?
It's going to be a great one. And, last time we were in Orlando, we had all these constraints.
Right.
We could only sell so many tickets. You had to stay 25 feet away from any other human being. You had to wear a mask over both ears. It was really kind of amazing.
A mask or two masks or three masks?
So Larry O'Connor took care of that one. But what did I wake up and hear on the radio this morning as I was listening to Larry O'Connor on the radio show? They're already putting back the mask mandates.
Wait a second. Didn't they just take off the mask mandates
They're putting
at
them
DC?
back on. And by the way, it's not because they're having increases in Chinese corona. It's because they are dictating the percentage of people who live in Maryland must be vaccinated. Oh. And if you don't hit that number, which they're only like 6% away from, everyone must wear a mask at all times. So this is the insanity. It's why we moved CPAC from Maryland to Orlando.
To the free state of Orlando,
because
of Florida.
We know what's coming in these blue states. They're going to lock everything down. And remember, the only chance Democrats have in next year's election is to vote like we did in 2020. Well, so just keep your eye on that ball.
And the one issue they're going to keep pushing is fear, fear, fear. Fear of COVID, the propaganda of COVID. You're already seeing Dr. Fauci say, well, to be fully vaccinated, you may need that booster shot. So they continue to move what do they say? Like you shift the goalpost?
Move the goalpost.
I tried.
They keep moving the goalpost. What does that mean?
Yes.
That means when you get set to kick the extra point and you think the goalposts are one place, they move to another place.
Right. So that's, I think, one of their big things that they're going to run on next year. But we've got.
I do tell my wife never to use analogies.
I know. I'm so bad. It's a Cuban thing. We're just really bad at it. Who's going to be on our show tonight?
Matt Whitaker. You all know and love him, the former Attorney General for the Trump administration and for America. We'll be here to talk about these incredibly troubling indictment that just came out recently of Steve Bannon vis-a-vis the 1-6 committee, which is something that has never happened in Congress before.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi is picking the Republicans who can serve on the committee because she believes all of us, you and me, those folks who are conservatives, supported or voted for Trump, that we are domestic terrorists and insurrectionists, so she won't allow them to serve. She's calling Jim Jordan basically a terrorist. She's calling Jim Banks, who we had on the show last night, a terrorist. It's really disgusting.
They're weaponizing not only the Department of Justice but the FBI, which we know the FBI has been politicized before. They tried to take down Donald Trump. Now they're using it to go after parents. Yes, that's right. They're actually tagging parents, and we'll get into that. Actually, you're going to get into that with Matt Whitaker. So we're excited to have him on the show. But going back to a couple of these important topics, Matt, you're always so entertaining. Yesterday, I see my phone blow up with the fact that you were attacking Sesame Street. What's going on with you? Why are you going after the cute little Muppets?
I grew up with Sesame Street. Ernie and Bert and the Cookie Monster. Count Chocula, or whatever his name was.
I think it was just the Count.
What's his name? It's Count Chocula. That might have been a cereal.
I think.
Anyway, they had all of these puppets, and by the way, nobody really knew what race Ernie and Bert was. One is yellow, one is like orange.
It was like the color of the
Cookie Monster is not really an animal.
Box.
Like I don't know why we had.
You did know that Big Bird was a bird. That's really the only thing. And Miss Piggy. I mean, come on. They were pretty basic in terms of this.
It's kind of insane that now they have to make sure that they have like a human-looking Muppet that's now going to represent every race, and after that it'll be every gender. And you brought up the fact that Gonzo, who's the ugly something, we don't know what it is, he likes to blow everything up. Gonzo has a child, a boy.
No, Schlapp, you didn't.
Gonzo,
can I say the story?
Yeah, and Gonzo's son wants to dress up like Cinderella.
No, Gonzo wanted to dress up like Cinderella.
I think it's the son of Gonzo.
Well, let me tell you, Gonzo wanted to put on you're talking about the Muppet Babies. It's like there's a whole different series. So, but here's the deal.
Oh, it's Gonzo when he's young.
Yes, exactly. They try to push this narrative now that Gonzo really wanted to wear a skirt, right? And because he wants to be like Cinderella. This is a type of stuff that they're pushing to our 3 and 4 year olds, where they want us to be talking about how as a little boy you should be questioning your sexuality at 3 or 4. Mind you can barely go to the bathroom by yourself at that age. But this is the narrative that the left is pushing through Sesame Street. Who would have ever thought? I thought Sesame Street was about living together in a friendly community where people like each other and you learn how to count and you learn your letters and you eat a lot of cookies with Cookie Monster. That was basically the whole theme of Sesame Street.
A lot of please and thank yous. And no one really thought about Sesame Street as race. They're human characters on Sesame Street. They were all,
which are diverse. Actually,
they were always diverse.
It's so they do represent in terms of what is America. The problem is that they're trying to drive this narrative of the leftist doctrine. They take Hispanic Heritage Month and make it into Latinx Heritage Month. That is a term from the left. Latinx, taking out the gender out of Latino or Latina. And it's just, this is the outrage. This is what we're seeing. This is what they want our children to learn. And it's why you're seeing more and more parents reject what the left has done, not only in our schools, but on television shows where they're basically saying, we're going to shut this off because you guys are pushing this propaganda that is harmful to our children.
So all I was doing is saying, when it comes to Ernie and Bert, who were introducing this Asian character, has nothing to do with not accepting the fact that there should or should not be an Asian character, but it was like the silliness of making everything about race. And then you'd have to consider what race and gender Bert is, what race and gender Ernie is. And then I started getting tweets about how Ernie and Bert were really kind of like lovers. And I was like, really? I never really thought about that when I was a little kid. We've lost our minds. We're off our rockers. And so I just simply responded to this crazy news about why are we funding all this? And it creates an uproar over the funding of PBS. Dear Republicans, why are you supporting the funding of PBS? It used to have some good content. Even the documentaries have become completely politicized. Stop it. If you get this majority back, draw the line on NPR, which I can't even listen to. I used to be a frequent guest on NPR. I couldn't even listen to it today.
You know what Matt Schaub would do to me every single morning?
Make you listen to NPR.
Literally, it would wake us up. I was like, this puts me in a bad mood. Literally, you would hear the voices of NPR, and then everything was anti-Trump, everything was anti-Republican. It was that we were all racist, that we were all bigots, that we're the worst things ever happening in America. And I'm going, this is taxpayer funded. It used to be smart conversation on NPR.
Now 6, 7 years ago.
Now it's been taken over by the leftists. But let me tell you, this is a sweet spot.
Don't fund PBS and NPR any longer. They can get their own money from their left-wing foundations.
So Schlapp, I was on Gutfeld last night, and so I want to make sure we play this clip. But before we go there, NPR had to delete and apologize a tweet on the Boston Mayor Wu's victory over 3 black candidates. They are upset because Michelle Wu ended up winning. Okay, she's Asian American woman, ends up winning the mayor race, the mayoral race in Boston, beating out 3 black candidates. And NPR was so disappointed that they put out this tweet. And so they said, many were hopeful Boston would finally elect its first black mayor, as most of the nation's 30 largest cities have already done. Black activists and political strategists reflect on what they can learn from the 2021 campaign season. For NPR, diversity is not about diversity of different race and ethnicity. No, it is about the black versus the white. It is about causing division. It is not even about celebrating Michelle Wu's win. And as I want to play this clip now from Gutfeld, where I respond and react to this NPR story and their lunacy.
You know what's even worse?
What?
If you're Asian American and conservative, if you're black American and conservative, you're Hispanic American and conservative, then you don't even, NPR would throw you under the bus at that point. They're like, wait a second, you're Asian, she's black, but she's conservative. So that doesn't even qualify her as being black. And that's the reality that conservatives face when it comes to this identity politics. They try to say, wait a second, you can be black, but you better be liberal.
Yeah, to add to that really quick, they were calling.
So we have this PBS NPR kind of like, they really maybe do have a problem with Asians. Maybe NPR actually does need the Asian Muppet. Maybe I'm wrong, because they don't seem to like Asians too much.
It's horrible. They are imploding. these liberal television, radio stations, taxpayer funded, imploding. And it's why we're going to take it back. And it's why we're going to keep talking about our message of freedom and hope and knowing that we're not giving up on America.
But am I right? When Republicans get back to the majority, they won't have the ability to dictate terms because Kamala Harris or Nancy Pelosi will be president. But they will have the ability to stand up and really raise hell from a budget standpoint on these investigations, on these indictments. And they have to draw the line in the sand on some of these outrageous examples of what they have gone along with funding. They have to stop doing that.
Exactly. All right, well, stay with us. We've got former Attorney General Matt Whitaker. He's going to talk to Matt Schlapp next.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Schlapp with CPAC, and it's my privilege to tell you that we've got a very important project that we've just announced, the First Amendment Fund. It's a brand new fund that we've created through our criminal justice reform efforts to raise money to take care of you, Americans who are being canceled and desecrated out there around the country. We know it just happened in Virginia, where parents were called domestic terrorists by the Biden administration, where people who just want to express their political views are canceled left and right. Now we have this terrible specter of a vaccine mandate where you can lose your job or be prevented from going to a restaurant or go to school according to your vaccination status. These are all the things that are happening in this country that are making people realize that America is in a fight to defend the principles that have made her great. If you want to be involved in this important effort, please go to conservative.org, click the link for the First Amendment Fund. Please donate to this C3 to help these victims across the country, including those who are just involved in politics, to make sure they have the legal representation they need to be able to live their great American life. Welcome back to CPAC Now, America Uncanceled. It's our honor to be joined by former Attorney General Matt Whitaker. General Whitaker, thanks for being back with us on America Uncanceled.
I'm glad to be with you today, Matt.
Okay, so we got a lot of crap, for lack of a better term, going on up on the Hill. How is it even able to happen legally that Nancy Pelosi is denying Kevin McCarthy, the Republican leader, the ability to pick the Republicans who serve on this bogus 1-6 committee?
Yeah, the House has obviously their own rules, and the majority in the House is in control. I think this, as we've talked before, Matt, I think this, first of all, points out how weak the Republicans were in 17 and 18 when they controlled the House and how accommodative they were to the Democrats. And I think, we got to reach a point now where obviously the Democrats are playing for keeps. They think that they're going to lose control in 22. They probably are. The American people are very upset about not only the commission that is, very lopsided and really has no meaningful Republican representation, but they're also, sick and tired of the spending, the alleged and threatened tax increases. And I think, at the end of the day, Nancy Pelosi has ruled this fiefdom now for about a year, has done nothing to improve the lives of ordinary Americans. And I think this 1-6 commission is one of the prime examples of their abuse of their power, their lack of an ability to work across the aisle and solve real problems for the American people. And I think the American people are going to throw them out.
So you were the Attorney General. Would you have recommended indicting somebody who was not unresponsive to a congressional subpoena, or would you have viewed that as the legislative branch's responsibility to work with their sergeant-at-arms to figure out how they enforce their subpoenas?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I don't want to get into a nerdy constitutional conversation, but I think your viewers should understand that the off-putting of this enforcement of the subpoena to the Department of Justice is the wrong way it's supposed to work, and the founding fathers didn't ever envision that this would be the way it would be enforced. The Department of Justice has typically ignored these referrals. I mean, let's look at Lois Lerner as an example where a contempt of Congress referral was made and was not pursued by the Department of Justice. Obama Department of Justice, and Eric Holder and the Fast and Furious contempt. That was also not charged. And all of a sudden, now they're going after Steve Bannon criminally at the Department of Justice. They should, they should have and use. There's a jail at Congress, and it's sometimes referred to as Congress jail for a good reason. And they should use that to enforce their subpoenas. But they're afraid to. They know that the American people wouldn't stand for that, and so they're delegating their legal authority to the Department of Justice. And I think it's an abuse of power. I think it's inappropriate, and I think to some extent it's unconstitutional based on the way we're organized.
And with such speed that it looks like to me, like two branches of government are ganging up to go after Trump supporters, and it's alarming. Paul Gosar, a conservative congressman from Arizona, was stripped of his committee assignments yesterday. Marjorie Taylor Greene has had this same issue. So what's happening is if a Republican does anything that Nancy Pelosi thinks is close to the line, and she believes Jim Banks and Jim Jordan helped foment an insurrection because of their highlighting of the illegal voting during the last election, Paul Gosar puts out a video which might have offended people, but you really get stripped of your rights. She's literally taking. This is what's amazing to me. Yeah. They say that Trump supporters aren't listening to the voters and that we tried to upend an election, while she's stripping the rights of duly elected congressmen, Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia, Paul Gosar from Arizona, Jim Banks from Indiana, Jim Jordan from Ohio. She's essentially taking away their rights when she wants to.
Yeah. And unlike inflation, thankfully, this is transitory. In 2022, when Republicans have the gavel, it's going to be a much different, and again, this is, the past is prologue. And so I would expect that this fight, that they're doing in the House to, like you said, disarm and take away any kind of voice for the Republicans by, marginalizing and taking this extraordinary action. I think you're going to see it come back, and to the Democrats, because, they are obviously there have been outrageous statements made by members of the squad, for example, and that is going to come home to roost eventually. And so, I wish, and Matt, this is where I think sometimes my conservative friends, wish I was a little more of a bomb thrower, but I really wish that we could solve some of these intractable problems for the American people. Inflation's not going away. We're weaker internationally than we've ever been. We have so many things. I just read this morning that opioid deaths are the highest they've ever been, and drug overdoses. I mean, Matt, there are so many challenges that we need to fix, and unfortunately, Congress is broken.
Yep, and we're not helping the situation when we scared the hell out of everybody that they're all going to die of this virus, and told people it's unsafe to leave their houses. It's not creating for a lot of human joy out there. Matt, one of the things that I love about you is you're a decent human being, as well as being a great public servant and conservative. And you've been helping with some of these young people who have gotten calls and been subpoenaed by this 1-6 committee. People who just had low-level jobs. I don't say that in a disparaging way, but they're young. They helped build a stage or get a permit. Basically follow the law assiduously to be able to express, or their bosses be able to express, their First Amendment rights.
Right.
Democrats tried to destroy each and every young, hopeful Republican possible so that they never run for Congress, don't run for state Senate, leave Washington, and go sell car insurance. We never, when Hillary Clinton and even the tops have clear wrongdoing, we're much more collegial. Does it bother you when you talk to these young staffers and see the kind of emotional roller coaster they're being put through as they worry whether they'll be indicted?
Yeah, and obviously these folks are scared to death. I think the power of Congress when they focus it on an individual citizen is extraordinary, and they sometimes don't feel like they have anyone that's fighting on their behalf. And remember, and Donald Trump says it the best. I mean, they're coming after these people because they support Trump and they hate Trump. I mean, I saw the same experience when I was the Attorney General. We They came after me and tried to destroy me only because I was just trying to do my job as Attorney General in a very difficult time in our nation's history. But, this Congress is, like you said, trying to destroy individuals, trying to, make them persona non gratis. And remember what, this woke world generally, Matt, and you and I have both experienced this, but, in today's America, these folks that serve in the Obama and the Biden administration get, cushy corporate spots and, board positions, and they, the best and biggest firms recruit them and salivate over their, resumes. And, those of us that, are patriots and are doing, trying to save our country from the rot and the march to socialism are somehow, we're the bad guys, and we're marginalized or tried to keep off the playing field. And obviously you and I have both fought back. We say, we point out and call it what it is, which is cancel culture, and we're going to fight against it. And I'm so proud to be not only your friend, but to stand shoulder to shoulder in this fight, Matt, because again, it's for the this is, I think, a moment in time where history will record who spoke out and who said this isn't right and who fought for these ideals of American, exceptionalism and the republic that we love, and who gave up and who, laid down and was unwilling to fight.
And what's going to happen is they're trying to make being a Republican illegal. And people don't like it when I say that. They think it sounds strange, but they're literally trying to say that if you stand up for your Republican beliefs, that you're hateful, that you're a domestic terrorist. And and it's the Democrat canceling, which is terrible. That's why we've established this fund, the First Amendment Fund, which is a function of our criminal justice reform efforts, which you play such an important role in it as a senior fellow to the American Conservative Union Foundation. And we encourage everybody who believes that this type of political canceling should end, anybody who wants to help us fight the outrageous claims of the 1-6 Commission, where they've literally told people that questions about the U.S. Capitol, Nancy Pelosi's role in not securing the Capitol, are out of bounds. You can't ask those questions. So the 1-6 Commission has nothing to do with the building that is the central part of what happened on 1-6. So we appreciate all your help, your legal expertise for these young staffers, General, and we appreciate all your help with the fund, and we appreciate all the work you do here. I think it's a critical time. You're right. You've been canceled. I've been canceled. Others have been canceled. But I think we just kind of have to say screw it and get up the next day and just do everything we can to get things back to some kind of normalcy, or we're going to be in dire trouble.
No, you're absolutely right. It's an honor to join you. Look forward to seeing you and Mercy again soon.
Thanks for tuning in to another great episode of America Uncanceled. I'm really sorry Mercy isn't here to close the show, but I think she seemed to have quite enough of me already. We love the job that General Whitaker is doing to help us with this new fund, the First Amendment Fund. We'll put it up on the screen again for you guys to see it, but please help us with this important fund. And we have these great new CPAC speakers that we're announcing. Greg Stubbe, the big hitter, the guy who hit the outside the park home run at the congressional baseball game, but something he does even better than hitting baseballs is his great conservative score. We have Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who was the attending physician, I think, to like the previous 3 presidents. He doesn't have to take care of Joe Biden, because I think that was just too much for any one doctor. I think there's a whole team now taking care of this president, and so many other great speakers we'll be announcing as the days come forward. And we want you to follow us on social media. We talked about how I kind of got in trouble making fun of the Muppets, and Big Bird and Ted Cruz had the same problem. I did not make Saturday Night Live, thank God, so that's good. So I got to stay under the radar, right? But follow me at @mschlapp on Twitter, and follow Mercy at Mercedes Schlapp, and follow CPAC at CPAC. Get all these announcements. Get your tickets. We hope to see you in Orlando, and have a great day.